You are listening to Not on the Payroll right here at notonthepayroll.com, also on Facebook, YouTube, and on Rumble. We've got an interesting little transition we're going to make here with the show. We're going to kind of focus in a little bit on some of mine and Carrie. We're going to start doing a lot of interviews and things like that for the radio program. But if you want to hear me and Carrie is going to kind of focus on a little bit better situation, I think, for both of us, considering the fact that, right now, all I'm wearing is a t-shirt, a hat, some glasses. And so I'm naked.
I am in my pajamas still. So what the heck?
That's exactly right. So now we were talking right there before we started. We were just talking about you doing some remodeling and whatnot. We want to get to that first, but let's talk about our sponsors here, man. We got Stuart Glass. Stuart Glass has been in here with us. Stuart Glass is up in Jasper. If you haven't talked to Stuart Glass or whatever, you've probably got some broken glass somewhere, either your car, your truck, your house, your office. They can hook you up right there in Jasper. If you're around the Jasper area, they work over in Newton County. They work in Sabine County, San Augustine. They work pretty much all over Tyler County as well. And they work all over Jasper County. So we appreciate those guys for backing us and sponsoring the show. Also, Lake Area Pawn, if you're looking for anything pawn shop related, looking for tools, you might even find a generator in there. You can find all kind of hand tools, power tools, guns, instruments, the whole 9 yards. You find it all down there at Lakes Area Pond. All of our sponsors are out of Jasper. If you're a business out there and you're interested in sponsoring what we do and you are not in the Jasper area, that's fine. We want to shout you out as well. So all you got to do is shoot us an email over to admin, ADMIN, at notonthepayroll.com. So the other two sponsors we have right now is Auto Salon. If you have an automobile that needs to be cleaned up, detailed in the whole 9 yards, you need to get over to the Auto Salon right there at Jasper. They can hook you up. They can also do like your inspections. They can do oil changes, the whole 9 yards. So touch base with them there at Auto Salon. They're north of Houston Street on the left-hand side if you're headed north. But they can hook up your vehicle. They can take care of big vehicles like mine. I have some kind of extended F-250, and my wife has some vehicle about the size of this desk here. So from large to small, they've got you covered. Also, you talk about auto, the automobile world. If you're looking for tires, if you need to get some, if you're tired of those, what do they call them? Maypops. If you're tired of those, you could definitely get hooked up with Hollis Tire up there in Jasper. Hollis has always got a great deal on tires. They are the number one Cooper provider in the region. And I don't know if you've driven on Cooper tires, but it's the difference of driving in a Ford versus driving in a Dodge. Just saying, Ford is not known for comfort, and Dodge is known for comfort for the most part, and Cooper tires as well are known for comfort. So having said that,
hey, they're good tires. My brother swears by Cooper tires. That's all he'll put on his vehicles.
I'm telling you, man, it's a real deal. So let me see here. Responding to a text. The person's asking me, what pawn shop do you guys support you guys? I just said a Lake Area Pawn. Let's see here, north of 190. Yeah, I tell you what, man, I have Cooper tires are good. Hollis Tire, what's nice about Hollis Tire is, you can go in there. And they will work with you. If you're needing a whole new set of tires, something like that, they'll work with you. They'll help you out. And you know, or if you've got a nail in your tire, or you've got some crap going on with the front end of your car and you can't figure out what the hell's happening. It's like you got, you know, a couple of, you know, Oopa Loopas hung up in the bottom of that front end of that car. I mean, it's part of it.
Like that hadn't happened to us before.
Well, the deal is, yeah, you know, back years ago, we had a we had a van we took in there, and they said, "How did you get this vehicle up here?" And I said, "We said, well, we drove it up here." They're like, "No, you didn't." They said, "Please, we need to get this fixed." I don't know what was wrong with it. There was something in the front end. Well, needless to say, we took their advice and we waited about another 4 or 5 years and got that fixed. So, you know, our angels were
waited another 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, our angels were hating us by the time we was done. So, but holding on that front end. But now, man, you was talking about supply chain issues with flooring. What's going on there?
Well, you know, we've had to replace the floor in our kitchen.
Yeah.
Part of it is sort of the still the effects from Harvey.
Yeah.
Our house is up on pier and beams, and it eventually got to our floor and rotted it out, and we had to replace it.
Dang.
And so we replaced the plywood. Well, we can't get the flooring to come in, and we've been waiting for 2-3 months now for the flooring to come in, and they don't know when it's coming in. That's
because
you know.
That's, to me, it may be because you've got some expensive taste. You're trying to get you some Brazilian.
You're not. You don't know my wife and how cheap she is. So no, that's not going to be. That's not going to be it, man. But seriously, and part of our problem was it took forever for us to decide what color we're going to get. And well,
what color did you go with? Like a black,
kind of a grayish brown.
Some sort of that century oak. Where it takes 100 years.
It don't look too bad.
It takes 100 years to grow out.
Could be.
And they're having to cut them slabs out of them. Yeah. Tell me, man.
From old redwoods that are 1,000 years old.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah, they got to peel them slow, so they can get that wood.
Look right.
Oh man, now there's a lot of supply chain issues, man. I mean, I'm hearing all kinds of stuff. Plus, in the business, you know, there's a lot of there's a lot of issues with metals. There's a lot of issues with aluminum. There's a lot of issues across the board. You know, it's like the other day. I can't remember if I said this to you or not, but you know, we have a project that we're working right now, or that we've bid, and we checked the supply chain situation, and basically they told us, they said, listen, if you order it now, it'll be January to February when it comes in.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's just it's crazy. But
hey, look, drive by the car lots, drive by your car dealerships. We drove by several. We visited our son on the other side of Houston, and we drove by several dealerships. We drove by a Chevrolet dealership on the east side of Houston. It's kind of in Porter, Sheldon, that area.
Yeah.
They have 4 cars, and they're an enormous dealership. I mean, normally they'll have 150, 200 cars. They had 4.
Wow.
And the Ford dealership, which is, you know, a half a mile away, they may have had 20.
Really?
And they generally have 150, 200 cars on the lot. Just none.
Yeah, I tell you, man, it really is kind of crazy how things are moving along, because I mean, it's almost like, in a way, you know, you got supply chain issues. Now you're talking about food supply issues.
Right.
It's every facet of these systems inside the United States seems like it's kind of cratering right now.
It is not looking good. I don't know. You know, for a while it was that chip shortage. Well, now they can't get all of the supplies that they need from Russia and the Ukraine. Supposedly now Ukraine makes a huge number of the electronic parts that goes into these vehicles, and they can't get that now. So I don't know what they're going to do.
You know what I found crazy?
Have to ship it to Uruguay or something like that and start there.
Yeah, no doubt.
I don't know.
I think some of this, I don't know how it all works. I mean, from a political standpoint, but this is kind of where the United Nations and this whole idea of you've got a consumer country over here like the United States, and you've got all these other destitute countries around the globe. You don't have, there's a number of profitable and doing well countries, but you basically say the United States is going to cut a deal with Ukraine or cut a deal with, Zimbabwe or wherever they could put one of these factories so that they could produce a product and be a sole provider to the United States. Now, when things start going the other direction, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, that could happen in Taiwan because the biggest chip producer in the world is in Taiwan. What happens when China decides, we're going to invade Taiwan? There goes the chips again.
Yeah, because right now, isn't Russia in control of Ukraine?
In the eastern half, they have it. Now, Kiev and some of the western parts, no, it's still in control of the Ukrainian government.
Well,
for now,
I saw a video the other day of Ben Stiller, an American semi-comedic actor, and he's sitting down with the leader of Ukraine. And I'm sitting here going, is this enough? How arrogant.
Remember, their prime minister one time was the number one comedian in the Ukraine. So I'm wondering if there's some ties there.
I don't know, man. All I know is this. It seemed like
went from number one comedian to prime minister / president of the Ukraine.
That tells you how poor the picking pile is, right? I don't know. All I know is this. It felt to me like Dennis.
Who we have in office here or have had in office. It's not much better.
No, it is not much better. We knew he was a jackleg before he even got in there. And so it felt like Dennis Rodman going to Korea. It's like the most absurd element of America saying, hey guys, hey, hold up. All you diplomats and everything, y'all haven't been able to pull this off. Let me go over there, see what I can do, and we'll get this thing worked out by Friday. It's just, I don't know, the arrogance and the ego of that thing, it's weird. I don't know. Granted.
And the thing is, the dictator over there saw him, and welcomed him with open arms.
He may have put in a request
for Rodman to come.
No. I'm talking about Ben Stiller over at Ukraine. But the old comedian may have been like, I'm a real big Ben Stiller lover. If y'all could get him over here, that'll really help my spirits. What planet are we on right now?
Or help my my image in the United States. That could have been. To which I'm sitting there going, when's the last time you've seen a movie with Ben Stiller?
Well, he's too busy drinking the blood of babies and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Now, isn't that what all the conspiracy theorists say? Hollywood's full of lizard people and baby eaters and stuff like that.
They are. They full of something, but I don't know. I don't know about the lizard part. They full of something out there.
So
the whole place, man. The whole place.
Your buddy has left Buena.
You talking about the superintendent of schools, Dr. Lee?
Yeah, Doctor. I thought you and Dr. Lee was tight.
Me and him we're just like that. We were fishing together every weekend.
So what's the latest on him?
Well, the story is he is moving from a 3A school district to a school district with a 5A and two 4A high schools. And I'm sitting there going, man, that's a step up. Of course, he's going to Wichita Falls, ISD. And I don't know. Have you ever been to Wichita Falls?
I have. I love that place.
It's yeah. I spent a month one night in Wichita Falls, and if I ever have to go through Wichita Falls once again, pass. I'm not a big fan of Wichita Falls.
Now, how long ago was this, though?
It had to be about 15, 20 years ago.
So my question is this. Was Miss Debbie running your budget at the time and making you stay in one of them budget inns?
We stayed in a pretty nice hotel, actually. We stayed in, yes, we were on the way to Colorado.
Okay.
And, yeah. And, 287 goes through Wichita Falls. And so we stayed, that was our first night, was in Wichita Falls. And I'm sitting there going, good gravy, how do people live here? I'm sure people say the same thing about Beaumont.
No, yeah, that's exactly right. They where we actually lived in Oklahoma, Wichita Falls is where we shopped.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I mean, it was either that or Lawton. And to be honest with you, you might be better off going to Wichita Falls just because of the killing sprees that they would have just at random in Lawton. I mean, it's not your normal military-based type of community at all.
So why were they having killing sprees in Lawton, Oklahoma? Was it methamphetamine or just people twisted off because I'm better off in Oklahoma State Penitentiary than Lawton, Oklahoma?
I have no idea, honestly. All I can tell you is it was you didn't want to be in Lawton too much after dark. It was just a bad vibe.
Hey, I don't want to be in Port Arthur after dark.
I don't want to be in Beaumont after dark. There's parts of Buna I don't want to be in after dark. So, no, to be honest with you, to me, that was some of my first signs that I was getting old. Is whenever I'm down there in Lawton and I'm sitting there looking around and I see the riffraff gathering up. And I'm like, we got to get the hell out of Dodge, man, because this fix to get sketchy. And I'm way too old to be trying to throw down with some young bucks.
Yeah.
I don't know. But no, Wichita Falls, man, it was that'll be a great opportunity for Dr. Lee.
He may be there for the rest of his career. That might be one of those, I'm here and because the next step you'd have to go to like Dallas or Austin or San Antonio or someplace like that to be to step up. I've told people in Buna for years, he's only gonna be there 3 or 4 years. Here we are, 3 years later, he's gone.
Yeah.
They kept saying, oh no, he's here for the long haul. He's bought a house. Oh, we're gonna have him a long time. Here it is, 3 years later, he's going to Wichita Falls.
Yep. Here's what's sad to me. Is that church, not church, but school in a way has become an industry. Not unlike the oil and gas industry or any other kind of industry out here. The stationery industry,
right.
The cards and Hallmark industry. It's it's not much different than any other industry out here. What you've got is what's scary to me is the product that they're supposed to be putting out is smarter kids.
Well,
don't you think? Is that the product?
No. And I'm sure there'll be people in Buna who will either love this next statement or hate this next statement. No, the product has turned into, buddy, what are we going to turn out this coming Friday night?
I got you.
Understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we're talking about from September to November. What are we going to turn out this Friday night? Oh, buddy, do we have any speed? Does the other team have any speed? Oh, buddy, if we can just win district this year. Oh, man, we can go a long way. We might make it to the quarterfinals this year. Oh, man, if they do, we'll have to hire us 10 more coaches because next year we can win state. Here we go. Here we go. Yeah. We'll have to fire 3 English teachers and a math teacher, but we got 10 more coaches here.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
We can't read or write, but buddy, we can play football. Oh man!
To me, though,
get in trouble. I'll have to buy a machine gun to protect myself.
No, to me though, it's almost like the politics inside of that system, the politics, because it's like this. Here's the deal. And a lot of these superintendents think that we're stupid out here, that we don't have a clue. We don't understand what exactly is going on. I mean, here's the deal. If you're first of all, if you get an opportunity to go down to, well, let's just say it like this, and I ain't trying to pick on nobody, but say Whole Day Zeta calls you up. Whole Day Zeta.
We're talking about the superintendent. They're calling you up, or?
Well, no. I mean, here's the thing. Say they call you up.
Okay.
You had aspirations of being a superintendent in Dallas.
Okay.
Whole Day Zeta calls you up and says, we just really appreciate your work ethic and your leadership and you're this and you're that. And we would like you to apply for this, throw your hat in the ring for this superintendent job. And we don't have anybody else. We actually have somebody else who's running. But the problem is, that we're trying to steer away from pedophiles in these positions. And so we really want you to step up and lead the charge for the next generation of Whole Day Zeta or anywhere. Plug in some minute. This is the same system that works inside these churches. When you have ambitious people, and because it's like this, take this. Okay, down here in Bonweir First Baptist, right. You've grown up through the ranks and you've been one of these young, what do they call them? Youth pastors. Right. Been here 10 years. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, Brother Earl Dean done passed away. And so we buried him last Friday, but you're still here. So what we're going to do is we're going to put you in that pastoral role. And he don't know no more about pastoring people than the man in the moon. Same way with the guy. You see where I'm going with this? So now it's pretty close. So now you take this person with ambition who's out here and you have them down there at Whole Day Zeta and they're down there trying to figure out what the hell they're doing. And they get to make all kind of mistakes and do all kind of craziness in Whole Day Zeta. And then what happens is, little do you know, about 2-3 years down the road, the old the youth pastor, who's now the pastor, turns around. He's like, "Hey, man, I was at that Bible conference, and that guy down there in Lumberton, he said he might have an opportunity for me, and to be honest with you, me and my wife really don't like Bonweir. I mean, we have loved Bonweir, and we appreciate Bonweir for what Bonweir has been able to do for us, and the Lord has really met us in Bonweir. But I feel like I need to put my application down there in Lumberton, of course, and see now you got the Whole Day Zeta guy who's sitting here going, okay, well, golly, man, I wonder if Whole Day Zeta, that I like these bleachers, but man, I think I can get a bond passed or something. We might be able to get us a bond passed. And then next thing you know, they do some fundraising type deals. They get the bleachers changed out for the people. Oh man, everybody on Friday nights going, woo! Yeah, man. Our superintendent got these padded seats. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You got the padded seats on these pews for us so we can worship on Friday night. And so
it is a worship. It is a worship. I don't care what anybody says. It's a worship.
No, hey, you pay your money at the door. It's a little different than what they do in church. You pay your money at the door, and you go and get your popcorn. Maybe get you one of them big long corn dogs
and a Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola.
Got to get you. Yeah,
that's right. You sit and scream.
Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper. There you go.
Yeah, that's the official drink of East Texas. Dr.
So
Pepper.
what ends up happening, these superintendents know that if they can actually get a bond passed of any relevance and they can walk a project from beginning to end, from inception to the grave, if they can do that, then when they put that on, now they have superintendent on their resume, they have a bond on their resume, and they have a project they have stayed and completed. That to bigger schools is very attractive because when you're in these big,
yes, it is.
Yeah,
very true.
And
I was surprised. You know, if you notice, Jay, the guy that Dr. Lee left, he was working on hard on a bond for improvements to the stadium, And I'm sitting there going, and one of the, as I've said before, one of the selling parts was we need to improve the visitors' locker room. And I keep saying, what the hell for? The visitors. I don't care if they get athlete's foot.
Well, what's crazy to me is
kids from Orangefield get athlete's foot. That's added value.
That's right. That's right.
Orangefield.
Yeah. I do think it would be funny if you had a visitor section and then your host who greets the visiting team that comes in hands them all small packets of Tenactin. So you'll need these. You'll need these when you leave here.
When you leave, yeah. You might want to put some of this on as you go out.
But the thing is this, what people are not sitting here, what they're not processing is you get a guy like Dr. Lee. You get a man like Dr. Lee who has sold the community on the fact that we are here.
Yeah.
He probably plugged into a local church. He probably kissed babies and hugged mamas and shook hands.
Bought a house.
Everything looked right. And I'm not dogging on Dr. Lee. All I'm doing is I'm using this as a great opportunity for people to wake the hell up, because this is what happens in your schools and this is what happens in your churches. You get guys who come in there and they know that their mission and objective is ambition in their heart. They're going to follow that ambition.
They've got to follow that money.
Well, but that's what I'm talking about. I mean, because to be honest, if you think about it, though, it's either power or money in both of these situations.
Well, the further you go up the chain in either in pastoral or school administration, power, it's money.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
All of these guys want to move up. Once they get to be a high school principal, an elementary school, the next thing they want, hey, I want to be assistant superintendent or director of so-and-so, or, here we go. And it's got to be a bigger and better school every step. There are no rules.
The only difference in the church is you always have the Lord talking to these guys who are down here at Bonweir First Baptist Church.
Jesus told me
that he had
this extra $75,000.
He has a special place for me right down here at Lumberton.
My bank account.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Hey man, we will pay you. We will actually pay the gas for you guys to come down here, and we'll send a moving team back to your house. That way you don't ever have to look at it again. And then on Sunday morning, when Bethel and Bernadine shows up down there at the at the choir practice, and they're like, "Where's Brother Joel?" Well, Joel is now on TV. He said he was always going to be here. What happened?
Yeah, he's on the TV and he's asking for a private jet.
Well, what's interesting is this, and this brings me to something that happened this week. I don't know if you caught wind of this or not, but Creflo Dollar.
Oh, what Brother Creflo do?
Creflo Dollar came out this week, and basically he did not repent or apologize,
Oh,
but he told everyone that prior to Sunday, I think it was Sunday, Saturday or Sunday, whenever he spoke at his church, and look this up, because it's interesting. I mean, if you're into that type of thing, but he basically told the congregation to throw away all of his tapes and all of his books and all of his CDs as it pertains to his sermons pertaining to tithing.
Oh, what happened?
He said, I guess he had this new epiphany about about grace and about something that I didn't get all into it because the interesting part to me was the fact that the guy was not apologizing, but telling everyone to throw everything away because he was in error.
Oh, so he was in error in that he needs to ask for more money, or
no? I think he was in error. He was in error from a doctrinal standpoint of basically telling people that they needed to come and give their money, and everything he's ever taught prior to Sunday, he said, do not listen to what I had to say. I thought it was very interesting. I still don't trust a guy who is a preacher whose last name is Dollar. I just don't trust him. It sounds like a double negative to me.
Well, maybe he's had a change of heart here. Maybe,
maybe so.
Creflo is going to be a changed man.
Well, and I would like to think that. But at the end of the day, man, if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck.
He is on a lot of national TV, so you've got to have $1 to put that on the air because that's not free.
Well, you got $2 to put on there, an actual dollar, and you got a Creflo Dollar. So
about American dollars to be on the TV.
That American dollar, yeah. I do think this though.
So I'm just wondering, does he give up his ambitions for a newer and better private jet, or did he mention anything about that? Or Jesse Duplantis, is that the cat's name?
Jesse
he was
Duplantis?
asking.
The Christian comedian who asked for a plane.
Yeah, he was asking for one of those new French planes. That so he could fly
to help him do the Lord's work
here to Australia without refueling.
To help him do the Lord's work in Australia.
Yes, in Sydney. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, I think those guys. I think those guys out of that whole branch, from Kenneth Copeland, I don't know how much Jerry Savelle was directly involved in all that. But I will say this, this is where a lot of people who hear what I'm about to say jump to, well, you shouldn't be judging these brothers. And here's the thing, first of all, Scripture does tell us to judge the spirit.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm concerned, I'm not sitting on some sort of high horse here, but I will say this. Jesse Duplantis has used comedy to lure dollars out of people's pockets.
You're correct.
100%. Kenneth Copeland on the flip side has used this whole word of faith thing.
Yeah.
All you got to do is speak it and believe it.
Yeah.
If you believe it in your heart, and then turns around and basically talks about not getting into a tube with demons flying around. He's got to get him one of them planes.
Get him his own airplane.
Yeah, he's got to get his own airplane because he's got to be able to fly around and do the Lord's work, and he needs his mind right whenever. I'll be honest with you. It's all smoke and mirrors, and it's Pharisee, Sadducee BS, and it has been for years. And we're just now, in a way, there was
But Jay, it's like P.T. Barnum said, there's a sucker born every minute. All kinds of people that'll send them checks and cash and gold and
Everything else.
stocks and bonds and whatever, and thinking that somehow or another they'll be able to buy their way into heaven.
Well, and the other thing is, for me, once you've watched Leap of Faith, the movie with Steve Martin back in the day,
Okay.
that movie is indicative of the American church system and how it works. Like you just said, people come in there trying to find hope, trying to find restoration, trying to find healing, trying to find love. And at the end of the day, they give away their money to a guy who says he's going to be there until the end. They give their money and they give their time and they give their allegiances to a guy who is nothing more than trying to pursue a better position at a bigger church with bigger money and better opportunity for leading people and power.
And it makes no difference, the denomination.
Don't make no difference.
No difference who, they just can't help themselves. Jay, when I was in seminary, it ruined me. It literally ruined me because I'm sitting there going, what am I doing here with these people?
Yeah.
Are they here seeking God, trying to help God? Are they here because this is an easy job? And a lot of them are there because they're sitting there going, I really only have to work one day a week. And, if I come up a couple of services on Sunday and, Wednesday night, I got prayer meeting and I can let somebody else lead that. And, I'll get a day off, couple of days off here and go play golf. And
yeah,
that's what a lot of these guys are looking at.
Yeah, and I'll say this. I mean, I had a Methodist preacher here a while back.
Oh, Methodists are even better. They only have to preach one sermon a week.
Well, yeah, exactly.
A couple of times.
He said, hey man, he said, where are you guys going to church these days? I said, we don't do that anymore. And he goes, really? I said, yeah. He said, man, have you ever thought about being a preacher? He said, because the Methodists are crying for preachers right now. And he said, you know enough scripture. You could go do this with your eyes, with a blindfold on. And I'm sitting there going, he's like, the way I look at it is this, man. I go there, I shake hands with everybody. I lead a little sermon there. He said, and there's books out there at the Christian bookstore that you can actually buy that have sermons for each one of your deals. So you just read through them and you go up and you talk about it. And he said, this is a great deal because, to be honest with you, he said, I keep my day job and I just drive up and I go and I'm the preacher at the Methodist church. He said, really think about it because they're really hurting for preachers right now.
I believe it.
I'm sitting here listening to this and I'm thinking, I just hear in the back of my head, if your soul's for sale, there will be a buyer.
Jay, I kicked around for a little while. The Episcopal Church has a kind of a deal where you can be ordained in their church because they are short bivocational pastors. And I kicked it around for a little bit and I said, nah, I don't want to go to hell when I die. No, let's keep it honest here. Let's keep it real.
Well, at the end of the day,
I got problems enough. Let's don't do that.
If you're looking at it from a purely economic situation, which is obviously what this guy was looking at it as.
Yeah.
Purely economic. Hey man, listen, about an hour and a half, 2 hours max. And then once every couple of months, you're going to have like a dinner on the ground where you have to stay over and eat with the people.
Stay and eat, yeah.
Where you have to stay over and eat with the people. I'm just sitting there going, what in the hell are you talking about, bro? You know, I mean, here's the thing. To me, that's the same thing as, you know, somebody coming up to me and saying, hey, listen, have you ever considered prostitution? All you got to do is just lay down for a little while. You just lay down for a little while. They leave money on the nightstand and a little breath mint, and then they're on their way. You don't have to. Hey, what? I mean, come on, man. I mean, what are we thinking? And I'm sitting here going, he is a preacher in a church of people who's trying to find hope, faith, redemption, the whole 9 yards. And he has totally diluted it into a financial gains scheme that both the school is based around and the church is based around.
You know, Jay, you know something? We're going
to every other system.
We're going to get hate mail on this. I hate to tell you this. People won't believe that what we're telling is true. A lot of them will. A lot of them say, yeah, those boys are absolutely right. But a lot of them said, oh, no, brother so-and-so, Reverend so-and-so, not him. Oh, no, there is the salt of the earth. They're better than Harry Angel. Oh, no, they wouldn't think that way at all. You better think again.
Yeah.
Trust me. I went to a seminary full of these guys.
I only know of.
They make me sick to my stomach. I'm sitting there going, what's wrong with these guys?
I only know of two guys. I only know of two guys who would probably be exceptions to that rule. And there's probably I would say this.
Of course. Of course, there's some good guys in the ministry, but
I would say it's probably 80-20.
80 bad?
Yes, 100%. 100% and 20%. So, I mean, to be honest with you, if you're out there and you go to church, or if you're out there and you have kids in the school, your superintendent is probably the higher percentage is going to be that 80% that he is using every means necessary. I don't care if he grows a garden during the spring and he's out there with a hoe doing it himself because he's so invested in the community. I don't care if he's at the food bank handing out Ensure and Pedialyte to the elderly. I don't care. I don't care. It doesn't change the fact that the ambition in a man's heart is the root of where this thing intersects. The ambition in a man's heart, because it's no different than if you're out here working in the oil field. It's the same type of deal. Everything's about promotion and climbing these ladders and the whole 9 yards. But the problem is you have this group of people, and 9 times out of 10, it's the same people in the church that is the same people who's sitting on those nice, comfortable pews right outside of that football field worshiping on Friday night. It's the same people who are gullible to the point to where they're sitting here going, doctor, we have a doctor as a superintendent. This man has moved here with his wife and kids, and he bought a house. And did you guys know he's growing okra right now? That is right now in his backyard. He's growing okra right now. Those are the same people who's sitting here saying, you know, to be honest with you, it took me a little while to get used to Brother Jerry. You know, Brother Jerry came in here and he was making all kind of changes and stuff. But you know, I've really gotten to where I really appreciate just how steadfast he is. How steadfast. If you need him for prayer, just give his secretary a call, get on his schedule, and he'll come over there and he'll pray for you. And you know, did you guys know he is so invested in this community? I saw him the other day down at the food bank. And matter of fact, did you know he's growing okra in his backyard right now? I mean, this man, it's the same story. Same story. And all I'm saying,
go ahead.
All I'm saying is, you've got folks out here who are gullible and who want to buy the story. They're hell bent on buying the story. In the church, people could kind of sit back and go, you know what? God called him to First Baptist Dallas. Our little old pastor down here, bless his heart, him and his poor little old wife, they just sat down here making that $500 a month. And they worked so hard. Then God looked down on them and God said, it's time to go. I've got a better place for you. It's the same BS. It is the same BS. And what happens is we write it off as people of the church, write it off as God took care of this whole thing.
Have you noticed how many of the pastors' children become pastors? And it's like nepotism gone amok.
No, see,
Yeah.
I think I disagree with that.
You really? Because I know several people who are now ministers whose dads were ministers.
Here's the deal.
You think that's all they saw and that's all they know?
Okay, so I'll speak from my own experience.
Okay.
My dad was a full-time minister.
I knew that.
All my childhood. I did not know in my heart and mind until I was 35 years old that I was going to have to work for a living.
Okay.
Work. I'm talking about put boots on,
Get a job.
put jeans on, and go to work. Now, I was a soft young fella growing up because that's how they raised me. They raised me in a very American dream type of deal. Dad was probably he was probably in the top 20% income earners in the region. Okay. He was making decent money. Okay. And that may be a stretch. Maybe we was in the top half. We'll call it that. Okay. The top half. Because there were a lot of plant hands and stuff like that. And so that money kind of goes on up. But for Dad, he, at the most, I think he made maybe $80,000 to $85,000 one year. Okay. Most of the time he spent somewhere between $60,000 and $85,000, somewhere in there. That's kind of where I grew up. And so I grew up in kind of a soft world where it was, you wake up and you eat Pop-Tarts, and do you have enough Cheetos with your ham sandwich? That type of thing. Okay.
Right.
So for me, what I saw was this. If I was inclined, and there was a period of time where I was inclined to do this, I watched money float in from nowhere and land in accounts. And then my parents turned and paid what bills we had.
Really?
Because of the relationships that my dad had established and built with people in the church and people outside of the church. Now, having said that, what I mean by that, there were people all over the place that would send tithes and offerings to my dad all the time because Dad believed in investing in people from a standpoint of counsel, encouragement, and those types of things. So a lot of times the church side of things became smaller. The older I got, the church side of things became smaller, and he began to invest in people more to the point to where even today, he'll have Zoom calls and stuff like that, counsel people and encourage people, and he's in horrible, horrible health. But his thought process was to invest in people the best way he knew how, and that was through counseling and encouragement. Now, having said that, me being this soft butterball fat kid coming up through the ranks, and then I'm sitting here looking around going, well, to be honest with you, I don't like hard work. I don't like hard work. I think it's less about nepotism and it's more about the parents looking at the kids going, yeah, we kind of raised some soft ass kids and we need to put them in a place where they don't have to work hard either. You know what I mean? Because if psychological.
So you're thinking that the parents are encouraging them to go into the ministry, because what the hell else are they going to do?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Because
that may be true. I haven't looked at it that way. You may be absolutely right.
Well, I can tell you this. There is a church. I'm not going to say where it's at, but it's in one of these Southeast Texas towns. I don't want to throw nobody on the bus. There is a church of good people.
Okay.
And their pastor has been there for decades. Okay. Pastor and wife been there. I think he established the church.
Okay.
Well, guess what's happening right now? It's transitioning to his daughter.
Oh,
because she has been invested in helping. You got to think about the branding. You got to think about the marketing. You got to think about all those things. And this is the experience that we want you to have when you come to XYZ Church. You see what I'm saying?
right.
So now she knows the method and the vision and the direction that church has been going for decades, because she grew up in it. And now it's being it will be handed over to her, and potentially her and her husband, to lead that congregation. And to be honest with you,
is her her husband a pastor kind of like deal, or is he just going to be? No. Okay. Just her.
No seminary, no nothing, no training out.
No Bible school, no nothing, like no Bible college, no.
Not that I'm aware. Now I will say this. There are a lot of people who don't want to believe that their pastors are pastors because they're lazy. They don't want to go get a job.
That's true.
It is the way it is. When, if you're sitting there as a grown man who has worked 70 hours during the week and shows up on Sunday morning, and your pastor walks up there in flip-flops, hair down to the middle of his back that's rolled up in a bun, walking around with the black glasses, got a few tattoos on his forearm, and he's talking about peace and love and harmony. It sounds like, from a blue-collar standpoint, that you got a hippie for a pastor.
As a preacher, yeah.
It's cool church.
Yeah.
And that is one of the big problems right now, is cool church is taking over where holiness left off. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I was reading that we are less and less and less believing in the church or any kind of religious institutions within the United States anymore. We're down to 38% of Americans trusting the church, religious institutions, any of that. I'm surprised it's that high.
Yeah, you and me both.
I'm really surprised it's that high, but 38% of the Americans, which means what? 58%? What has happened to the church? And it's dropping like a rock. I mean, we're talking about with 2017, it was still 40-something%.
So here's really the question, though.
Yeah.
So who's being sacrificed in the middle of all this chase of ambition? Who's being sacrificed? It's just like this. If I've got a company out here that produces and manufactures a product, okay?
All right.
And I've got a project manager who is over that project, making sure, or a production manager who's over that production to make sure it produces. And he's been with me for 2 or 3 years, and he understands that his role there is vital. Then all of a sudden he gets called up to the big leagues to go down to Olmsted Boilers or somewhere else that he's been applying at behind my back or whatever. And I'm not saying people shouldn't move up the ladder, but what I'm saying is he applies down here at Olmsted, goes down there or goes to the paper mill, goes wherever. Okay. More money, the whole 9 yards. And he leaves. In that situation for a period of time until I am able to train someone to take over that production line, the production line is what suffers. So my contention is this: in the church, it's the people who suffer.
People
In the schools, it's the children who suffer.
Kids, yeah.
And so to me, whenever we want to sit here and we want to look at all of the pros and cons of these systems, and we have to go back to the fact that if nobody is still doing research and trying to find out how we got these systems we inherited from what J.D. Rockefeller did back in the early 1900s, specifically with church, specifically with schooling, and also with the health system that we have in the United States. There was a time in the United States where doctors were not being mass produced year in, year out. They weren't being produced like this. It became an industry. Why did it become an industry? Why did the health side of things become an industry? It became an industry because Standard Oil needed a place to be able to produce pharmaceuticals and to provide those to the public. Now, here's the crazy part. To me, people want to jump off and immediately start saying this is conspiratorial. But the fact of the matter is, the man unloaded boatloads of money to the health system, the schooling system, and also to the American church system.
Right.
And so here's the deal. If you don't go back and look at the root, you'll never know the motivation for why we actually had that to begin with. Not to jump off on a kicking J.D. Rockefeller deal, because, to be honest with you, there are some positive things that come out of those systems. At the same time, these systems are now controlled by ambition of the hearts of people.
Sure.
And so, it's kind of like me and you becoming Methodist and Episcopalian pastors. If we had any ambition in our heart,
we do it.
Be over people.
We do it. But once again, like I says, hey, I don't want to go to hell when I die.
Yeah.
I still kind of believe in hell.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I figure somebody like Hitler needs to go someplace bad.
Yeah.
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 It's Mao, he needs to go someplace bad. Stalin, he needs to go someplace bad.
Yeah.
Well,
if it wasn't for him,
denominations that believe that everybody, I'm sitting there going, Mao Zedong making it. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'll be honest with you. I think a lot of my perspectives on all that stuff has changed. And, because to me, if you believe in hell as a place where bad people go, and that's the baseline of hell, then the opposite is true. Heaven is the place where good people go, right?
It depends on what you think of your theology, because of course, your theology is, if it's a traditional Baptist theology, then your theology would be, well, if you are a Christian as such,
but what is your thought?
Such, well, what John say? He says, "No one comes unto the Father except through me," and I kind of still believe that way. And
So does that mean you believe in heaven?
I do. I believe there's something afterwards. Has to be. If not, what's the purpose?
Interesting.
What is the purpose? Why do we go through these philosophical debates and thoughts to begin with? If we just become food for worms afterwards.
Yeah. Do you believe that? Do you believe in the idea that we are both spirit, soul, and body?
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't.
Depends on how you feel.
Yeah, how I feel that day, and the people who I've read that day.
Yeah. So on the whole, do you feel like we're spiritual beings in a body experience, or do you feel like we're body and soul beings with a spiritual caveat?
I think we are body with a spirit / soul.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Okay. So the body goes away.
Yeah.
And your spirit and soul goes to whatever.
Yeah. To whatever,
hellfire, destruction.
Yeah. Whatever the hereafter is.
Whatever that is. Okay.
You know, and to be honest with you, you know, if you read the parts of the description of heaven, I am not impressed. Streets of gold. Yeah, I don't care. You know, in my house, there are many rooms, is what it really says in Greek, instead of many mansions. Okay. What do I get to do in my room? You know, what's in there? You know, is there anything in the room? Will we get to eat in heaven? Yeah, I don't know why I'm a fat guy. And that's kind of important.
But you'll be a spirit, not consumed with you won't be consumed
with one deed. And it says that in the Bible about that you don't, you know, necessarily need to eat, but I might want to eat.
Well, you do, because you're
and another thought I have is, after I've been to Israel, where there'll be bacon.
For the Gentiles, I'm assuming so.
I'm hoping so.
I'm expecting. I mean, the way I look at it is this: you've got a parallel thing that you're living out here. You have the body form of what you're experiencing that has, you know, lust of the eye, lust of the flesh, you know, pride of life, all these things. All those elements are associated with that body form, and then you have this spirit form that's spirit / soul that's trying to be brought into righteousness on some level before the Lord, because that's where the goodness versus the heaven or hell comes from, right? Because that's the thing that's going to be here in the hereafter.
The deal is this: I quit trying to work myself to the point where I have to be good all the time to make it to heaven. I went to the old Reformation idea of Ephesians 2:8, in which, you know, basically, you know, you're not saved, but you're saved by grace, not through works, lest any man should boast.
Right.
And I'm sitting there going, there's no way I can work my way through. There's no way.
Well, the Pharisees.
If I did, I would feel depressed all the time because I can't be good.
Right.
You know.
So the Pharisees,
again, you know, and like I said, that Martin Luther was reading that when he came up with the epiphany of the Reformation, and I'm sitting there going, "That's me. That's me. I can't work that hard."
Well, see, what's interesting is if you think about Paul, Paul made a statement at one point in Scripture says, "The things I want to do, I don't do, and the things I don't want to do, I do."
He said that in Romans, yeah.
And so, to me, if Paul's feeling like that, you know, granted, I'm not a Paulinian, but at the same time, you know, if we consider Paul to be one of the fathers of the faith, which I believe he is, you know, or fathers of modern Christianity, I'll say that much, then to me, you kind of got to back up and go, okay, you know, why all the striving? You know, if Scripture says, you know, it's God that builds the house and they that labor in vain.
Right.
To me, if that's the case, that's indicative of our salvation. That's indicative of who we are as people. If God is building this thing, then why are we sitting here like Martin Luther on the flip side of Martin Luther, beating ourselves and flogging ourselves to try to work our way into righteousness? Because that was one of his big things. Yeah,
that's entirely why he started the Reformation.
Yeah,
because he, you know, once again, you know, just, you know, and he at the end basically said, if you're going to sin boldly, you know.
Yeah, because I mean, Scripture said, yeah, Scripture makes it very clear. You know, rather you be hot or cold.
Yeah.
And so,
and that's what that's where Martin Luther came up with that. Hey, look, they're going to sin boldly. Get out in front of it. Here we go.
I don't know, man. I know this. There's a lot of things inside of the American system now, the American church system, that obviously is going to fight and toil with that, because it's easier to keep people under control if you put some level of work or burden on them. If you put burden on the shoulders of the people, if you put weight and guilt, and because to be honest with you, there are some churches that are exceptions to this rule, but the majority of churches out here, their product is judgment, and they keep you in judgment, in a place of judgment, through fear and shame and guilt. That's the product they produce.
And why I don't go to church.
There you go.
Another reason.
There you go.
Another reason.
Yeah, I kind of go back to the whole, we're going to find our salvation out here with fear and trembling and do the best we can at it. And I don't need a preacher to tell me. I'm not against the art of preaching, because I do believe it's an art and a gift and a skill. At the same time, what we've turned it into here in America, and what we have exported, has been anything other than the power of Christ's redemptive story. It's more about, let's go to Ghana and take a picture of some little children with flies on their face while they're trying to eat some cornbread that we made. We'll take some pictures of them, and we'll bring that back to the churches in America, put it up on the slideshow so that they can see us people sitting here trying to feed these poor Ghana children.
Yeah.
It's all about money. There's a big portion of it about money. I know some missionaries who are legit 100% pure called missionaries. Okay. Not negating that. But there is a system out there that is all about raking in the money from rich America and going and dispersing that. And honestly, a lot of missionaries who are in those systems, they go over there and basically live in a way like kings. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's disturbing.
I know a missionary like that, but we won't go there. We won't.
Well, listen, man, we rolled up on an hour and 15 minutes here. I think I'm gonna like the new format.
I like it a lot, man. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be good, and we'll have these interviews up. We'll put these interviews up and whatnot. We'll go from there. But yeah, man, I think we're on to something here. So
I think so, man.
All right, man. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to.
Who knows? Maybe I'll get dressed for the next one.
You'll wear your suit to sit in your house. Your wife will be like, "Where the hell are you going?" I'm going to sit right here. Ladies and gentlemen, you can check us out at notonthepayroll.com. Go check out all of our sponsors: Stuart Glass, Lake Area Pawn, Auto Salon, and also Hollis Tire. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Appreciate you for listening. And hey, at the end of the day, religion or church is supposed to point you to Jesus. School is supposed to point you toward knowledge. And consider the fact that our children are being sacrificed based on the ambition of those who are in leadership. And maybe you yourself are being sacrificed in those pews on Friday night, and then those real hard pews on Sunday morning. You might be one of those being sacrificed for someone's ambition. So keep your head on the swivel, man. Find Jesus in the end, because that's really all that matters. A little bit of Jesus will take you a long way. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. Love you. See you next week.
Love you, Venom.